those feminine and masculine polarity coaches tend to say that when a man is in his masculine, he's decisive. And if he's indecisive, it means he's kind of in his feminine. And I find that interesting because what I've always felt is that because of the nature of how a woman has kind of a limited time tick-tock, that she is less indecisive and kind of more decisive than a man. Whereas a man, because he always has that wide expanse of time and kind of unlimited, like has a sense of there's plenty of time, I've always thought they can be indecisive. So my experience has been thinking that I don't really consider it a masculine trait to be decisive. I've always thought that seemed more feminine. Like I know that like masculine is ideally supposed to be the structured container, the decisive, and that feminine is more of the fluid, indecisive, chaotic. I don't think so. I think that the nature of having all the time in the world makes you you have time to deliberate in your decisions, and thus you are more indecisive. And a woman, because she has to kind of she has a container, a time container, there's just a natural decisiveness that happens. So when she likes somebody, I don't think she wavers back and forth as much as, say, a man. He's kind of wavering between his options, and he can do that well into his 50s. I mean, he can go a while because he has all the time in the world. I just think it's worth thinking about because we have assumptions about who's indecisive and who's decisive. The other thing is men, they kind of can float back to you because of that kind of constant in kind of fluctuation. Now, I would say that men in bed are more decisive because their energy is just all in the yang bang. I mean, it's kind of centered in one spot that wants a very clear problem solution, decisive. Whereas women in bed, I think, have more of an indecision because it's kind of that fluctuation of, I like it, oh, I don't like. There is a kind of wax wane going on there that I can see why people say, oh, the feminine is fluctuating, fluid, indecisive. But men have an indecision that is also marked by the fact that, like I was starting to say, is that they always come back. So you might have had a crush on a man or a relationship years ago, and they always keep their eye on you, and there's always a level of they look for ways to come back because they're ultimately indecisive in terms of I shouldn't have let her go. She's interesting. Now my curiosity is provoked, and then they're able to waver more. Whereas a woman, she'll take a long time to decide that she's done, but once she's done, she's done. Like once she's taken the man off the pedestal, it's kind of hard for him to get back on. Whereas a man, this is just my opinion. I don't know if this is true. I'm not sure. I'm just kind of talking it out, thinking about what I think. But yeah, there's a sense of once the woman has decided, okay, that man isn't for me, or he's rejected me, usually there's not so much of the seesawing. There might be a little bit if enough time has gone by, and depending on the circumstances, of course, of the dynamic. But there's that, to me, I always characterize that indecision with how men are almost always ready to come back or watch you, or kind of, and that's why you never want to be too worried about what men think at any given time because of that fluctuation. Like they always come back, they always have that curiosity, and they always, as soon as you have become indecisive, or as soon as you're no longer decisive about them in terms of I've decided I really like you, they don't like that pressure. As soon as you've done that, they're completely all in. You know, they don't like the decisiveness of women, and maybe it's because it's masculine, so it kind of, maybe it emasculates them and makes them indecisive. I don't know, that's maybe what the polarity coaches would say. I don't know. But what is it about this indecisiveness with men where they have that push-pull? And is that push-pull, the masculine and feminine within them, at odds? So is one part of them really decisive and like want her, and then the other part like, oh, I don't know. I mean, what is it? Maybe they have that indecision as their internal struggle. What do you think? Do you think that decisiveness is more of a masculine trait or a feminine trait? And maybe it's both, obviously. We're humans, it's fine. But I just think I disagree with the kind of common idea of the polarity coaches who say that masculine is decisive and feminine is indecisive, because I really do believe that time itself, that kind of, when men feel they have all the time in the world, that makes them more indecisive by nature, whereas a woman has a container for kind of having to be more decisive earlier. Except in sex, because sex, there's fluctuation and foreplay, and that feels good. Nah, that doesn't, I'm out of it. Whereas a man, it's kind of decisive. It's kind of, once it's on the arc, it's going to keep building. At least maybe it seems. I think they can have that same fluctuation, lose an erection, have that kind of stuff. Anyway, hope this was interesting.